Hello, Bicmex here. This is gonna be my Season 3 Survival Hunter PvP guide. So, a little quick introduction, in case you guys don't know who I am. I've been playing Survival ever since it became Melee in 2016 in Legion, been a one-trick. And my XP, I am the highest rated person in 2v2. And then in 3s, I have a couple hunters here. And then I am the highest hunter in Shuffle. And then I'm the highest survival in Blitz. Just to give myself some sort of credibility in case you guys don't know. But I have this little add-on here. So let's start out with the talents. So I'm gonna go over each talent individually. So if you just want to skip through and you can use the timestamps in the video. I'm sure this is gonna be kind of a long video, so feel free to skip ahead in case you guys don't care about going over each talent. But I like to yap, so that's what I'm gonna do. So first thing we have here is natural mending, which is just whenever you spend your focus, it reduces the CD of acceleration by 1 second per point. I mean, per 10 focus, whatever. So it's good to keep in mind that this talent exists, so you don't have to be like super, you don't need to like hold on to acceleration the entire game because the cooldown is actually shorter than what you might expect. Roughly, it's gonna be like a 1 minute 20 second CD for the most part, so keep that in mind. And then here you just have disengage, removes roots and slows, and also gives you a movement speed increase. Really good. This just buffs acceleration and gives you more max HP, so that's cool. Here we have Hunter's Avoidance, which is 5% AoE reduction, which seems useless at first, but there are a lot of spells that this actually affects. Things like Fist of Fury, Blade Dance, like it's really good into Windwalker, pretty good into Demon Hunter as well. And then also it's pretty good into Mistweavers and 2s with a kick build, because it reduces the damage of that thing as well. So there are some matchups, mainly in 2v2, where this talent is pretty good, but as a default, it's not really that crazy. Then we have Death Blow, just 15% chance on your kill command to allow you to press kill shot. Not bad, not bad. Here is Wilderness Medicine, which just essentially buffs natural mending. So instead of being 10 focus is 1 second, it's going to be 1.5. So really good. It's not really the craziest talent, mainly because you have other things that are better. But there are a lot of matchups where you can't take this talent. The one thing you have to be really scared of is you can never play this talent into Elemental Shamans, Shadow Priest, and Affliction Warlocks. Because if you do, whenever you dispel your pet, the negative effect of dispelling, things like Flame Shock, Unstable Affliction, and Vampiric Touch, they will go on you. So you will essentially just die by pressing Mend Pet, which is really bad. So don't take it into those classes. Here we just have Tar Trap. It's a slow and a root. Yeah. Your Purge, really good. Your Slow, which is really good. This talent you can remove in some cases, but I'll go over that later. The one thing that is the most depressing thing of all time is the fact that Steady Shot increases concussive shot duration, which I don't know if you don't know, but you don't press Steady Shot ever. So, yeah, thank you, Blizzard. Here is your wall. It's one thing to know that this is a 25% damage reduction in PvP, because it is nerfed for some unknowable reason. Keep that in mind. Your Torch Trap now roots them. Now this root is on the DR, so keep that in mind. Here's your kick. It's good. This essentially just makes your Trank Shot AoE. It used to be better back in the day, but now it's like kinda mid, so you don't need to take it all the time. This one sucks. Misdirection, which then turns into Interlope. Really good talent, but you won't play it as a default, but I'm gonna go back to this later. Scout Instincts, kinda mid. It only really works with this talent over here, but it's too many talent points, so just don't take it. You just get 1 additional charge of your wall. Your wall lasts longer, shorter CD, kick lowers shorter CD, take it. More damage on Wildfire Bomb, you have to take it. Disruptive Rounds is kind of a mid talent. It doesn't really do too much. Now, funny thing, it does indeed work with Coda Tranquilizer. So let's say if you purge 3 things, you will get 30 focus. So it's pretty good with that, but like on its own, it's pretty bad. You need to take it though to go down into Binding Shot. But it's good to know that if you play with Interlope, the misdirection thing here, the PvP talent, which I'm gonna go over it later, you want to, instead of going disruptive rounds, you then want to go down to the tree with this talent, which is just a 5-second reduction on misdirection. So it's a 40-second CD instead of a 45. Actually pretty good. But let's say that you're into like a druid, for example, you can very easily just remove this for Scare Beast to go down into Binding Shackles. Because this is just, you know, if someone is in cat form, bear form, whatever, travel form, you can scare them. Now, if you want to be a really cheeky man, you can pick this into Shamans, because you can actually Scare Beast them in Ghost Wolf, and I can tell you that no Resto Shaman is going to ever react to Scare Beast when they... Like, they won't think that it's on themselves. So, like... And because you don't lose too much to go Scare Beast, if you really want to, you can just pick Scare Beast into Shamans, and just, like... You have the ability to maybe soak a kick for your team, maybe even get a random fear on the shaman that can like win you the game. So like, keep that in mind. It's not as bad as you might expect, mainly because you don't need to drop anything to take it. So if you have an opportunity to take Scare Beast, I mean, I swear, just take it. But as a default, it's not that good, because at least this does like something all the time, you know? Then over here we have Intimidation, which is just your pet stun. Now in PvP it's 3 seconds, so keep that in mind. There's also some weird interactions with Intimidations, but I'm gonna go over that later. Then here you just have Explosive Shot, which is, you know, kinda your bread and butter, big damaging ability. Do not go this talent unless your name is Rednex. Here we have Binding Shot, which is a 3-second stun. Pretty good. Just you stun people whenever they walk out of the little circle, so it's good. Take it. Then over here you have Bursting Shot or Scatter Shot. Now, for the most part, you will pretty much always go Scatter Shot. Even if you're in, let's say, a shuffle lobby where you have maybe like an Affliction Warlock on your team, you might think that Scatter Shot is bad because you can remove their damage. But you just have to be wise and smart with whenever you press Scatter Shot, because, I don't know, the range on Bursting Shot is just too small and narrow. I mean, if you look at this, it's like this distance. Like, if someone is standing here, you're not gonna, like, knock them away. Like, it's ridiculous how small. It's, like, almost melee range, so very scary. But, fun fact, this knockback is not on any knockback DR. It doesn't DR with Explosive Trap or, like, Vortex or... you know, like Elemental Shaman, knock, Mage, knock, Boomy, Typhoon, whatever, you know, like it doesn't DR with anything. So that's something to keep in mind, I guess, fun fact. Then here we just have 10-second CD on Intimidation, so it becomes a 50-second CD, which is really, really good. Always take this. This talent is extremely mid. Attack speed, who cares? This is 8% damage increase on Explosive Shot, which is almost, you know, one of your biggest hard-hitting spells. Really good, take it. Then here you have Keen Eyesight, which is... This is like the one talent point that you can remove, but for the most part it will be good to have 2 points, because first of all, crit is a really good stat, and it scales with Tip of the Spear, which I will go over later, but this is one of those talents that you can remove if you want to get more utility things. But I think a good default build should be focused more on damage, and then you will know if you're in a scenario where you need to get the mobility, or I mean the utility more, right? I can show some examples later. So here you just have, this becomes a 3-second stun instead of a 2-second stun, really good, you can take it. Here you have a damage reduction, I mean, it's a cooldown reduction on your Intimidation and Binding Shot. So this is kind of what I mean with Keen Eyesight. Like, in some matchups you can remove 2% crit to get this, but in other matchups it doesn't really matter too much. So I would say if you're playing a comp that heavily relies on your stuns to win you the game, Scrappy is really good. So for example, let's say if you're maybe playing with like a dragon, you're maybe playing with an elemental shaman, you're maybe playing with a boomy, then it's really good to be scrappy, right? Because like they don't have that many stuns. Maybe you're playing with like a mage or something, you know? Then scrappy is really, really good because your stuns will matter a lot because they don't bring a lot of stuns. But then again, if you maybe play with like a feral or like a rogue or maybe a warrior that have like 1 billion stuns, this talent won't be as good. So just swap this talent based on what you're playing with and like against, I would say. This talent is kind of mid. Very rarely will it matter, but I mean, I'm sure it's better than what it seems, but I don't know, it's just like one of those talents you just don't really pick, because it's too situational and weird, so I wouldn't really recommend it. Here you just have movement speed increase, which you need to get to gut down into Roar of Sacrifice. Binding Shackles is a 10% damage reduction whenever you press your Knock Trap, Scatter Shot, or your Stun. Now, for the most part, this is not that, I mean, it's okay in 3s, but in 2s it's where it's really shining. So in 2v2, you can set up your damage in a way with a Knock Trap and Scatter Shot on the main target, so you reduce the damage you take by 10%, which is a lot, right? But I would say that this is mainly like a 2s talent, because in 3s, I mean, you rarely want to like stun the kill target that wants to attack you, right? That's not like happens too often. And your Scatter Shot is way more important on the off target than in 2s, because in 2s, you will mainly use Scatter Shot as a way to like peel yourself to get the damage dealer off you instead of using it on the healer. So it just has like a different role in 2s and 3s. So just to super simplify it, I would say in 2s, you play Binding Shackles. In 3s, you can drop it if you want to. Then here you just have Camouflage, Stealth, good, but you also need to pick it to go down into other things. So yeah, not good, not bad. You have a Trailblazer. This is mainly gonna be like a blitz talent. In Arena, it's like kinda mid, unless you're in a very specific scenario where like maybe you're against double stealth or something, and then you want to be faster in camouflage in the opener to find someone in stealth or whatever. Other than that, it has very limited use cases, and there's moments where Trailblazer can be bad to have. For example, let's say you're feared by a warlock or a priest, right? You're not gonna attack during the fear, right? So you're gonna be getting movement speed when you're in the fear, which means you're gonna be walking away further than what you actually want. So there are some downsides even with this talent. So to simplify, in Arena, don't get it unless you like really need to for some reason, and then in Blitz is a really good talent. Then here you have Roar of Sacrifice, which just makes it so you are immune to crits. You can also give this to other people. Really good spell. Just remember that your pet kind of dies whenever you press Roar of Sacrifice, so just press like Ment Pet after Roar of Sacrifice has been pressed, and then you should be fine. This talent is only good if you cannot read English. Here you have Moment of Opportunity, which have been mega buffed. Now, it is a pretty good talent, but it's not something that you need to take, but it's definitely really, really good. So keep that in mind. It's a talent you can for sure go. Again, I would say this is mainly going to be like a 2s talent, because in 2v2, I think avoiding damage matters more than 3s, because there's only one guy that does damage to you, right? So if you can utilize the movement speed to run away from that one person that can attack you, that is way more like valuable than in 3v3, when it's like 2 people that does damage to you, and it's like harder to really like focus on avoiding damage in that way, that sort of kiting. So I would say okay for 3s, really good for 2s. Here you have 30-second CD on your Eagle, Shira, and Turtle. The one thing about this talent is the fact that 30-second CDR on your Aspect of the Eagle is actually a really, really big deal, because then it lines up with your Coordinated Assault, so you can always do ranged Mongoose Bites during your Coordinated Assault window. So I actually had someone in my Discord ask, why do people play this talent? This seems kind of bad. Because on websites like Murloc.io, the tooltip is shortened and doesn't actually show Aspect of the Eagle. It only shows Shira and Turtle, which I mean, in shuffle, that seems pretty bad, right? Because you're only gonna realistically get one off anyway. But the fact that it gives you CDR on your Eagle to make it a 1-minute CD to line up with this is really, really good. So you always have to take this talent. This talent is also only good if you can't read English. This is just 5-second CDR on all of your traps. Extremely good. Really, really valuable. You have to take this talent. It's so good. Here you have more damage on all of your dots, and you have a lot of dots, so you have to take it. Also, just keep in mind, it says this effect is increased by 50%, so no, you're not getting 50% or 60% dot damage, you're getting 15, because it's buffing the 10% by 50%, so it's becoming 15%. Just keep that in mind. Then here you have your knock trap. Don't ever, this is like a Mythic Plus talent, who cares? It knocks them up in the air, this knocks them away. Away, shorter CD, way better. You wanna get it, you wanna grab it. Then now you have one talent point left over. So there's a lot of options that you can do. Now, if you want like a good default or whatever, I would say this. If you're playing 2v2, you want to have binding shackles, and then you can try to maybe utilize things like your knock trap and your scatter shot to keep up the 10% damage reduction for as long as you can, because that is a really big deal. And then in 3v3, I would recommend Scrappy. Or Kodo Tranquilizer. And then whenever you're in a blitz, I would recommend Trailblazer. That's like super basic talents, like where to put the last one. I didn't talk about Emergency Salve, but this one is pretty decent into sometimes Feral, because you can feign death their MS effect. Pretty good into Rogues, because you can feign death their slow and their MS effect. Pretty good into DK, because you can remove all of their diseases, especially Unholy. And then also pretty decent into Shadow Priest, because you can remove Devouring Plague. Other than that, you're not going to take the talent into any other class, other than the one that I mentioned, but for now, I'll put this talent in Binding Shackles, because I think it's pretty decent, good talent, can't really complain. Then over here, in the Hunter tree, it's going to be way more rigid. You don't really have that many options, because in the Hunter tree, you can change like a billion talents, kinda. Here, you will like never touch your tree ever. So you want to get Kill Command, you want to get Wildfire Bomb, you want to get your Raptor Strike, which will then turn into Mongoose Bite. This is just 2 charges of your bomb. This is your bread and butter tip of the spear. This is like how all of your spells kind of like interact with each other. One thing to keep in mind with tip of the spear is the fact that it becomes 20% damage increase with Flanker's Advantage, if you read how it says how the damage bonus is increased based on your crit. So if you have 2 points here, and then like the baseline crit that you get from the gear that you have, it will be a 20% damage increase instead of 15. And then also with this, it becomes a 35% damage increase, which makes Tip of the Spear a really, really important spell for a lot of your spells to do any form of damage whatsoever. Now there's a lot of things that gives you Tip of the Spear, so that would be Kill Command, Fury of the Eagle, and Flanking, but I'm gonna go over that later. So just keep that in mind, that this does not work the way that it used to work, where if you have 3 stacks, you don't get more damage. Like a 3-stack Tip of the Spear Mongoose Bite is gonna do the same damage as a 1-stack Tip of the Spear Mongoose Bite. So just know that. Here you have Lunge, which is just more damage reduction. I mean, the cooldown reduction. It's really good. This talent sucks ass. Mongoose Bite, really good. Flanker's Advantage, I can't speak. Flanker's Advantage, really good. Then this is just, you just have more ways to reset the cooldown of Kill Command, and also Kill Command gives you more bomb CDR. More bomb damage. This talent sucks. Here you have the one big spell that does 100 billion damage. You guys have probably seen a lot of people complain about Flanking Strike. So, you wanna grab it. Oi, it does so much damage. One thing to keep in mind though, if you can see how it says Tip of the Spear grants an additional 15% damage bonus to Flanking, this is additively. So, what I mean by that is like, with this and this, your Tip of the Spear baseline is 35% damage increase. And Flanking Strike 15% more. So Flanking Strike does 50% more damage if you have a Tip of the Spear, which means that you are legally allowed. No, you have to have a Tip of the Spear in order to press Flanking Strikes. Otherwise, it's like you can never do it ever. So just remember, you have to do that. Very important. Here, this talent used to be kind of good, but I think now there's better options. 2 shards on kill command, really good. More damage on all of your range spells, pretty good. This is a really important spell to keep in mind. The fact that the Wildfire Bomb has a 25% chance to reset the CD of Explosive Shot. So this is sort of why you want to prioritize Explosive Shot over Wildfire Bomb, because Wildfire Bomb has a chance to reset Explosive Shot. So keep that in mind. Here you have Kill Shot does more damage over time. Pretty good. You want to take it. Flanking Strike does 40% more damage. You have to get it. Flanking Strike applies a bleed that does 1 billion. You have to get it. 15% in damage increase on Mongoose Bite and also Serpent Sting. And keep in mind, Serpent Sting does initial damage. This initial damage also scales with Tip of the Spear. So not only does Tip of the Spear affect Mongoose Bite, it gives it 35% damage increase, it's also 35% damage increase on the initial damage on Serpent Sting, which might not seem like a lot, but it is, it's good to know at least, that it's better than what you might think. Also, I should have maybe mentioned, Tip of the Spear only works on the direct damage. So it does not work on the dot from Wildfire Bomb. It's only the initial damage on the Wildfire Bomb. And it does not work on the dot on Serpent Sting. It doesn't affect that at all. This talent has been deleted from the game. Very sad. 10 seconds CDR on your Harpoon. Whoa! That's good. Also a reset on kills, which is pretty good in Blitz, and just BGs in general. Because when you get an honorable kill, aka anyone dies anywhere, someone can be 200 yards away from you, you have never touched them, ever, and if they die in a battleground, it will reset your Harpoon. So if you play BGs as survival, you might notice that your Harpoon resets randomly. That's why, because someone has died on the enemy team. This is just more damage on kill shot and also increases the chance. So instead of 10%, it's going to be 15%. So yeah. Basically, without these talents, kill shot will just be like a worse Mongoose Bite. So you kind of need to have these talents to make kill shot do anything. So that's cool. Also, kill shot is unique in the way that Tip of the Spear does affect the dot damage from kill of the herd, because the damage is based on how much damage the kill shot does. So technically speaking, Cull the Herd is the only dot spell that gets affected by Tip of the Spear. Yippee. This is just more damage on your flanking and your bombs. Not bad. This is AoE kill shot. You can't really take it. This talent sucks ass. This talent sucks ass. 10% more damage on Explosive Shot and Wildfire Bomb. Okay. 10% more damage on Mongoose Bite. Okay. And then here we have Fury of the Eagle, which is a really hard hitting spell. So you want to grab that. And then over here, we just have it so each time it does damage, has a chance to give you a 100% chance to give you a Tip of the Spear. And when the Fury of the Eagle channel ends, you get some haste. So really good. You want to grab it. Then here we have the big spell, the one that is like the scary thing, Coordinated Assault. This thing does 1 billion damage and it affects a lot of things in the pack leader tree. So huge. Grab it. Then here you need to take this talent, which is 60 second CD, so it becomes a 1 minute CD. Also gives you 3 stacks of Tip of the Spear whenever you press Coordinated Assault. This talent is actually pretty okay, but it's unplayable, unfortunately. It's only if you want to like cheese one-shot someone in the opener or whatever. And then you get the bomb whenever you press Coordinated Assault, and at the end of Coordinated Assault you get a triple Explosive Shot, which is really good. Bam. So now's the thing, there is no talent in the Hunter tree that you can remove. Also, they have removed the Spirit from the game. Only North Americans that play Maghar Orc full crit mastery are allowed to play this talent. Never, ever, 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 ever go Spearhead. It is so hilariously bad. Don't even think about it. It's so bad. Anyways, pack leader. This is gonna be the one thing that like affects everything. So the way that pack leader works is that whenever you're in combat, I can kind of illustrate the first thing. You will then get this little thingy right here, right? Actually, let me remove this add-on so you can see tooltips. One sec. Hello, I'm so back. Okay, so now you can see. Whenever you are in combat, you will get a Howl of the Pack. So, you can then use your kill command and your Mongoose Bite to reduce the cooldown of the spell. So you see, you press Mongoose Bite, kill command, it goes down even more. So the way that it works is that it will always be in the exact same order. Now I hit a bear because I was attacking someone earlier, but it's always going to be in the exact same order. How you will get the wyvern, then you will get the boar, and then you will get the bear. So that's kind of how that works. You see, now I got the bear because I was attacking the mob earlier, don't worry about it. But now it's going to be the wyvern 100%. So you see, I can now press kill command, I can press Mongoose Bite, I will then reduce the CD even more. If you see here, it goes down, bam, it's the wyvern. Summon the wyvern with your kill command, and then now you have the wyvern. So that's how it works. That's how it, you know, that's how that looks. So let's now you know how this works. Let me go over everything else. So this talent, whenever you summon the beast, aka the boar, the wyvern, or the bear, you basically get a bomb back. So that's why if you can, you should always try to press a bomb before you get your thing, so you don't like overcap on the CDR, right? So if you do like a bomb like this, you bomb like this, and then if you look at this, summon, you basically just get your bomb back. Also gives you 2 tip of the spears instead of 1, which is also really cool. Big fan. Then this is kind of what I was talking about, how whenever you press your spells, they reduce the CD of it. This is just tip of the spear damage increase by 15%, and your pet does 15% more damage. This is Envenom Fangs. Now, this talent sucks. Don't ever pick it. It's so bad. The way that Envenom Fangs works is actually, if you pay attention to it, the damage that it does is quite a bit. So, Serpent Sting, which you get from your Mongoose Bite, you see how it does 1.4 million damage. The damage is based on how much damage it does. So you always want to try to refresh the Serpent Sting before you do the bear. So now you have the bear, right? You want to do a Mongoose Bite, and then preferably 2, because then it's like, you see how it's even more, because it like does a lot. And then if you press it, it eats up the entire Serpent Sting, and it does the damage from the entire Serpent Sting. So if there's like 3 seconds left of the Serpent Sting, that's not really gonna be that much. But if it's like 15 seconds, if you just refresh it, it does like 1.5 million in an instant, which is really cool to have some like extra burst damage on the side. So I think this is like a talent that is worth playing around when it's like, which is kind of why I think Pack Leader at the moment is like a very like weak or a heavy build, because you need to constantly play around this buff and then know what pet you're gonna get in the future and then play around it in that way. So that is the one thing about the bear. That's how that works. Then over here, we have your pet's basic attack will increase the damage of your wyvern. So it's gonna go from 15% when it initially spawns, and then whenever your pet is basic attacking, it's gonna be up to 20%. So it looks up to 10%, but I don't know why it says it like that. Up to 10, but it's not 25. It's so weird, because look, okay. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You see, it's still 20. I don't know why it says. Anyway, and then you can also press your wildfire bomb to increase the duration 2 times. So yeah. Why does it say up to 10% when it goes up from 15 to 20? Anyway, really weird, but that's how that works. Here you have the Hog Strider. So it refreshes your Mongoose Bites, and each time that the boar does damage, it will, let me see, I think I have the boar. I do have the boar. So if it, okay, look at this. It's gonna refresh this, refresh the stacks, and then you see the boar, how it works is that it will just summon like beast in a random direction to just charge the target. You see now they damaged this guy for fun. And it gave me Mongoose Bite stacks. Shahoo! So, yeah, that's a pretty cool talent. It also makes your Mongoose Bite AoE, but this does not really matter at all. In case you're wondering why it glows sometimes, it's because of this talent. And this is a talent that just like, bam, like it consumes all of the stacks all at once. So keep that in mind. This talent is just kind of like, who cares? Okay, your kill shot now makes your pets. I mean, if you look at this, 3, 2, 1, your pet like jumps. I don't know. Sure, why not? Here is Shell Cover. This talent they have actually buffed. Last season it was hilariously bad. Now it's like pretty good. So I think especially into sub-rogues, this is like a talent that is worth looking at. Because if you pay attention to this, you should be able to live their first stun lock if you press Roar of Sacrifice on yourself. So as long as you believe in this talent's ability to save you, it has the ability to save you. So that's pretty cool. And then over here we have Slicked Shoes. You basically just get 4 second CDR on your disengage because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but basically every class in the game has a perma slow. So for the most part, this will be a 4 second CDR on your disengage, which is really cool. And then Horsehair Tether. There's only really one scenario where this talent is good. Maybe 2 scenarios. It's because they get dragged back to the center. This means that if you do a binding shot on a warlock or a monk, and then if they port away, they will get sucked back. It's kind of like a vortex in that way, where they will get sucked back to the middle of the binding shot if the stun hasn't already happened. So let's say, for example, if they walk out, get stunned, and then ported, then it doesn't do anything. But yeah, if they are inside the binding shot and then they port out, then they're gonna get sucked back in. If they're not on knock DR. So because this triggers the knock DR, so you actually cannot do binding shot knock and then they port. Like you can't do it because the knock will then make it so they're then on DR, so it's like you can't do that. But that's fun, I guess. And then here we have the big one. This is one of the reasons why especially flanking strike can like one shot. So whenever you press coordinated assault, you get a 12-second buff, which then gives you 25% damage increase on your beasts, which will be your boar and your bear, and 30% on your pet, which the pet portion of flanking will then hit for 1 billion, because you have 30% damage increase here, and then 15 from this spell. So, and also your tier set affects this talent. But I'm gonna go over that later in the gear department. So that's kind of it with those talents. I guess I will quickly go over Sentinel too. Now, for the most part, Pack Leader will be the way to play because it's way more damage. Sentinel can be okay in some niche cases, especially, I want to say, Blitz, when you're not playing with a healer. And the main reason why, I'm not going to go over everything, but it's kind of self-explanatory. The main reason why is because with Sentinel, it's very like upfront. So, for example, let's say you're playing Blitz, right? And then you are on this funny map. For example, the one with the carts, Silver Shard Mine, right? You know how there's gonna be like 3 DPS against 3 DPS in the middle cart? Then it's actually really good value to just do like a bomb to summon your big Lunarstorm, and then just press Turtle, just so you can like kind of do all your damage while you're like inside the turtle, because that's kind of just how it works whenever there's like 3 DPS. Like, these niche cases aren't really going to be that useful in Arena, but like in especially Blitz, just the fact that like it does damage while you're not even, you don't have to press like a you can be CC that's going to do damage, you can like be on a turtle that's going to do damage, you know, it just has that like the instant damage over time that like matters more than pack leader's like overall damage increase. Like if the fight's gonna be short, like maybe like less than 15 seconds, I would say Sentinel is better, just because it has more upfront damage without having to like pre-press stuff. Because I think pack leader has more burst, but the burst requires more setup. So in a no setup environment where you just want to like win a short 10 to 15 second engagement, Sentinel will be better. So keep that in mind, that like you can play it, but in Arena, never play Sentinel. It's so bad in Arena. But in 1v1s and Blitz, it's pretty good. So keep that in mind. Basically how this entire thing works is just whenever you press Wildfire Bomb, you get a big blue thing that does damage to people that have Sentinel. That's kind of it. It's nothing super complicated. Like you don't need to do any crazy interactions. It just works. You just press a Wildfire Bomb, it then summons a big blue thing, it does damage. That's it. Let me go back to Pack Leader. So, let me see. And then I want to talk about the PvP talents, I think. Let me investigate my notes here. Ah, yeah, true. PvP talents. Let me just remove this. Hello. Okay, it's bugged. I don't know. Any hoosers. So, here are the PvP talents that I would recommend. For the most part, you will be playing Survival Tactics 99% off games. It is just one of those spells that does a lot of damage. I mean, oh, I can't even speak. Oh, I'm too tired. It's just a 90% damage reduction, you know? You can't really complain. It's just a good talent that you will pretty much always take, and it's hard to not take it. Then you have Camariel. That's good. It's the way that it works is it will always cycle through the slow, and then the silence, and then the 20% damage healing and thingy reduction. One thing too is that every effect is a poison. So that means that even the silence effect is not a magic effect. So for example, Priest cannot dispel poison. So that means that if you silence a mage that's on the enemy team, their Priest can't dispel this effect. So keep that in mind. Also, just remember that you are... Oh, I don't have War Mode on. Wait one sec. Okay, let me put on War Mode just so I can like show you the spells. Hello, I am so back. So I just want to quickly show how it works. So you just press your Camariel, it then becomes a slow poison effect, and then the silence poison, and then the damage reduction. Shoo-hoo! One thing also is that you can meld. You can actually use Shadow Meld to negate one of the interactions if you press meld as it's about to transition from one effect to the other. So you can keep that in mind, I guess. Then the last talent, these two you will kind of go most of the time, is going to be your disarm. So it's just a disarm. It works kind of in a weird way, how it's like you first disarm them. Okay, well, dummies can't be disarmed by whatever. After the disarm here, it's gonna spread, so it becomes like a little AoE disarm. So that's kind of cool. These talents are just good default, can't really complain. But then again, if you're into something that, you know, you can't really disarm anyone, you have some options. Number one, you have Hunting Pack, which is just gonna be a 50% CDR and gives the effect to the allies. Keep in mind that this with Hunting Pack, it gives them both the effects of Cheetah, right? So they get the 90%, and they also get this. So that's cool. Then we have Mending Bandage, which is going to be a must-pick talent into Assassination Rogues and Feral Druids. And BM Hunters actually now, especially BM Hunters, really good into. You can remove the Fenrir Bleed, the Bear Bleed coming from their pack leader, and you can also remove Bloodshed. So it's BM Hunter as a Rogue and Feral. Really good into those classes. Tracker Set sucks ass, don't pick it. Diamond Eyes is good in Blitz. That's kinda it. Wild Kingdom is weird. Don't take it. Interlope. Oh my god, Interlope. Oh my goodness gracious. Now, if you play Interlope, you need to then also get Misdirection. So what I would recommend, if you want to do it, is that you remove Keen, disruptive rounds, and then bam, bam. Alternatively, you can also remove this, so you have this talent. This works too. Or if you want to be like a really cheeky boy, you can also remove Conk Shot, I guess. But like, I'd say this looks like a fine talent build to go if you want to play Interlope. So, the way that it works, think about it as like a personal grounding totem. That would be like the way that I would say. The pet has to be within 20 yards of the person that you press Interlope on. So 20 yards is kind of a lot, right? So your pet can be this far away and it will still work. So examples of this being good, if you're into casters, right? You can interlope your healer or yourself. Now, there's typically speaking, I prefer to use interlope as a way to stop CC chains from happening. Let's say you're against like a mage, right? I think stopping the initial sheep with interlope is pretty hard because you don't know if your healer has like death, shadow word pain, that's the same, holy ward, maybe a fade, maybe they will line of sight it, maybe they will kick it if they're like a dragon, maybe they will grounding, you know, they have so many ways to stop the initial sheep. So typically I like to use interlope to stop the re-sheep because that's like guaranteed, right? Because you don't have a range kick as survival. So like let's imagine that my healer is in a polymorph. Then you could just do an interlope and then put your pet kind of close to it, close to the healer, and then now, unless they can do 3 spells, they're essentially immune to the re-sheep or the re-fair or the re-sleep or whatever, you know? So it's a really good ability, but it's kind of hard to use, but as long as you have like macros for it, then it becomes a little bit easier. But I will go over that later in the macro section. So any ability that gets stopped by grounding totem will get stopped by the interlope. So yes, freezing trap works on the pet. So for example, like let's say if you press interlope and then if you trap someone, even if your pet's not standing on them, they will eat the trap, right? You know, just think about it like that. It's like a personal grounding totem, and then that's kind of how that works. This talent is so weird. I don't know why like role player Blizzard has like added this talent, but yeah, those are kind of the talents that you can play. It's Camerial, Tactics, Interlope, Disarm, Mending Bandage, and then sometimes Hunting Pack, if there's nothing else to go. And then Diamondize only in Blitz. Yeah. Those are the talents. Let me see what else we'll have to talk about. The pets, true. So, let me go over to the little individual here. Ta-da! So, there are 5 pets actually that you want to have, and I have them listed here. You want to have an Undead Cunning, Beast Cunning, Beast Ferocity, Undead Tenacity, and a Beast Tenacity, and all of them will have mortal wounds. Now you might ask, why do you need to have an Undead pet? Well, Undead pets are unique in the way that they are undead, and they're not beast. So, if we go to Wowhead, and then we search for Polymorph, you will now see that you can only use Polymorph on Beast, Humanoid, and Critters. Which means that they are immune to Polymorph if you have an Undead pet. Which, if you guys remember what I said about earlier about the interlope thing, if you interlope either yourself or your healer or your teammate, they are immune to the sheep, and the sheep won't even go on your pet. Wow. The only reason why it's bad to have a Undead pet is into Ret Paladins, and just Paladins in general because of, Repentance. Wowhead Repentance. Because if you interlope a Repentance, you see how they can be, they work on Humanoid and Undead, but they don't work on Beast. So if you have a Beast pet and you interlope the Repentance, they're immune to the Repentance, so that nothing will happen instead of your pet sleeping, right? But the biggest reason why you don't want to have a Undead pet into Ret Paladins is because of Wowhead Wake of Ashes. Now, Wake of Ashes, whenever it does damage, this is, mind you, they're like the biggest like rotation, like this is just their rotational ability, right? It stuns demons and undeads for 5 seconds. Let me tell you, it's completely unplayable to have a undead pet into Ret. And because, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but let's check, not Curseforge, check PvP. And then we go to, then we go to stats. Then we go to, I think the Ret class is very popular. So a lot of the time, you actually cannot even use a undead pet because Retribution Paladins will just, stun your pet whenever they want to do damage. So that's why you need to have both. So the 3 pets that you want to have is the undead and the beast variant of Master's Call. Then you want to have a beast with Bloodlust. This is mainly going to be for like world PvP, blitz if your teammates doesn't have like a Bloodlust already, if you're doing a dungeon, whatever. And then you will have the tank pet, which will then be undead and a cunning, right? The one thing that they have changed this patch is that now you can change the specialization of all your pets, which is kind of fun. So this is a carrion bird. Typically, these only have Bloodlust, but now they can also have freedom, so that's really cool. So there's going to be like a list over here. I will link you guys this. So all of the pets that you can have is right here. They all have mortal wounds. They are really cool. You cannot have any other pet than these pets. So, maybe if you want to have a Hydra, you think they're really cool, you can tame a Hydra and then you can have them. Wow. The only sad thing is that raptors are the only pets that can be undead. So if you want to have an undead pet, your options are very limited. You can only have this guy, these guys, and then this guy. I think that's it. Yeah, that is it. And the way that you get it, the easiest way is to just go to the one dungeon over here in... Where is it now again? Shadowlands, Mandraxxus. Just do Plaguefall or Theater of Pain on like normal or heroic. Just kill all the mobs, kill all the bosses. I have never in my life seen anyone not get it after like at least 2 runs. Minimum 2 runs. Maximum 2 runs is what I mean. Typically you get them from like the first mobs you kill. It's so easy to get. So just go Plaguefall and then go do it. That's ta-da. And there's also a command here if you want to know if you've gotten it. So just run this command and then you will see what happens. Let me see for me. Bam. Yes, you can tame undeads. So keep that in mind. Was there anything else that I wanted to talk about the pets? I don't think so. I guess it's like knowing when to pick them. So I would say 99% of the time you want to have Master's Call because the freedom effect is just really good. And then in Blitz and stuff you can have the Bloodlust. Now this is unusable in Arena, so don't pick it in Arena. And then here, the tank pet ability mainly will be used into sub-rogues because you can use this while you are CC'd. All of the pets are like command pet is usable while you're CC. It's just the fact that the pet cannot be CC'd. So keep that in mind. But yeah, it's mainly going to be into sub-rogues, so you will play the tank pet ability. But sometimes, if the enemy team doesn't have a root and they only have slows, then it's still fine sometimes to take this. Because Master's Call is just, it's just too good. The freedom effect, if your pet's in a root, you can't press flanking strikes, you can't pet stun, like it's so annoying. So having the freedom effect, really, really good. Then I wanted to talk about the stats, gear, tier set, embellishment, whatever. Right, so here are the stats that you want to have. You want to go for 4 set, everything except for the chest. And then, so note, everything here is in PvP combat, right? So you want to get 21,000 mastery, which I have in PvP. Then you have like 6 things to choose between with your haste. So here's the thing. If you have more haste, the rotation becomes harder because you need to press your buttons faster to get value out of the haste, right? And then if you have a little bit of haste, it becomes easier. And also it does more damage because you can put the haste into versatility. So like each spell will do more damage, but overall more haste will naturally give you more damage because you can press your spells faster, right? So I'd say the sweet spot for me, I think this season I'm probably going to go for like 1.22 or maybe 1.21-ish, like around this amount of haste. I think having having less than this, it becomes unplayable, in my opinion. Having more than this, you're just losing out on damage by not going more versatility and more mastery. So anywhere between this haste bracket is fine. So I typically just say like go anywhere between 19.5 and 24.5. Anywhere between that, you're gonna be fine. And then everything else into versatility. So that's gonna be the stat priority. Then when it comes to the gear, now I haven't made a best in slot yet, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be tier set helm, Versa mastery, tier set, this funny wrap item with the mastery, crafted Versa mastery, crafted Versa mastery. I think the PvP weapon is better because it's Versa prio, because you might need to get a little bit more versatility. Then it's gonna be tier set gloves. This will be Versa mastery crafted, tier set, Versa mastery crafted, haste verse, haste mastery, bada bing, bada boom. That's gonna be the gear. And then for enchants, the one big difference is that stonebound artistry, in my opinion, is way better than the power. I don't know, what was it called? Enchant weapon power, radiant power. Yeah, I think this talent, I mean not talent, I think this enchant sucks. So the main stat that you get, which is 2250, was pretty good early expansion. But now, you have like 1 billion agility. So at least when I tested it, if you see your damage before and after having the agility buff, it's like a 1%-ish damage increase, which is really bad. Whereas the mastery one, this stonebound, this is like a 5% damage increase. So you're comparing like a 1% damage increase to a 5%. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, this does a little bit of instant damage, right? So the instant damage is like 0.8% of your damage overall, maybe even less. Most of the time it's less. But I don't think that the damage is that good. Because here's my thing. It can also be annoying, the fact that it does damage. Because all of your spells will proc radiant, you know? Like, let's say you trap a rogue, and then you want to Hunter's Mark the rogue. This Hunter's Mark can then proc the radiant power, so it breaks the trap. Or, let's say you maybe wanna knock someone while they're in a freezing trap. This knock trap, it does more damage because scaling, right? But this knock trap can proc the weapon enchant, so it does even more damage, so it can break the trap. Or if you do like a freezing trap, and then you want to time it so they're silenced at the end of the trap, that will also break the trap if it procs radiant. So like there are a lot of scenarios where it's actually like really bad, the fact that it does damage. I'm just so fed up with it, so it's just like I don't think it's good. And also, I think stonebound is better because the damage you get will actually matter. Like very rarely adding 200k damage to the go that people die in is gonna be, I mean, very rarely that will actually matter at all. But having a 5% damage increase instead of a 1% damage increase, which is the entire point of the enchant, that it gives you like a buff that gives you more damage, I think that matters way more than the little overall damage that it does, that sprinkles on here and there, because there's also some downsides. So I'm just like a hater of Radiant Power. I think it sucks in comparison to Stonebound, so I would recommend Stonebound. Yeah. Let's see what else. Gems. For gems, for the most part, the way that I have my gear set up, you're most likely just only going to go for the versatile Onyx. I think the haste that you have from your other pieces will be enough, so I don't think you need to get haste from this. So you just want to stack the versatile Onyx and then you're fine. And also make sure that you have one Enduring Bloodstone, really important there. And then for the enchant, you want to go for the Mastery one. Don't get the Cursed Mastery, because the Cursed Mastery reduces your crit, and having some crit is actually really good, so don't go for Cursed. Just go for the normal one, the Enchanting Mastery, this little fella. The Radiant, this guy, yeah. Grab this one. And then for enchants, everything else is just gonna be like the basic bitch things, you know. The only option you can choose maybe is the boot enchant, because Enchant boot, let me show you. There's two options you have. You can either go Defender's March, which is like 2000 health, or 250 movement speed. Now, this is like 1.6% movement speed or some shit. I don't think it's particularly good. I mean, you can if you want to, but like, I just think that it's probably better to go the little bit extra health. Same thing with this. You could also go the agility and armor, but I just think the stamina might just be better. Here you go the speed. Here you go the Storm Rider. I think the extra speed instead of the other one is better. You see, you have the, what is it? It's like 200 agi difference. Enchant chest, right? Like, let me see. You see, you have like 520, and then this is like 750-ish, right? So it's like 200 agility or 200 speed. I think 200 speed is better, because, I mean, in PvP, I think I have like 110k agility. Like 200 is like nothing. So just grab the speed, I would say. Same thing here, you want to get the speed. And that is it, I think, when it comes to enchants, right? Yeah. Cool. Then I have my macros. So, if you guys have noticed, you see how there's no funny little icons on my macros now, but if I swap this talent to maybe something else, it becomes a little feed pet icon. So I have kind of done this to like all of my spells, just so I don't have to see the ugly like question like this. This is so ugly on my bar, I hate it. So if you go to my macro placement, which I will have linked down in the description down below, you might have seen like, why do you have feed pet everywhere on like every spell? But that is why, because if I'm swapping my talents, I don't want to see the question mark, so that's why it is there. The only other notable thing that I want to talk about is why I have all of my spells look so weird. So let's click on my Mongoose Bite as an example, right? We have this one. Ignore this doesn't matter. How it has start, attack, target exist, and then also at target raptor strike. I have this because you see how I can do my damage rotation? You know, I'm pressing my buttons here, and I'm not automatically like targeting someone by default, right? So this is good in cases where you're into people with meld, hunters with feign death, rogues with like vanish. Let's say that there's a trapped target right here, and then I want to do damage, and then they vanish, and then you will, because you're closer maybe to the guy that is trapped, you will then automatically just attack the target and just break it. So this kind of makes it so you won't accidentally break stuff, because if you see, if I drag like a normal Mongoose Bite, waiting, bam. You see how it like, it just automatically targets a target, which is why I have two macros, because in PvE this is kind of annoying, but I don't know why it's there. In PvE this is really annoying, but in PvP having that is like beyond stupid. So I would recommend have all your spells written like that. Let me put it back on my bar before I forget. There we go. So you won't accidentally break CC. Really cool. The other way that I have my macros being written is ways to stop the focus macro from bugging out. So I haven't written more in detail over here, I think. Here with like arena spells and focus macros. You see how they're like clear target, target arena, target if exists, scatter shot, targetless target. The reason why this has to exist is because there's a bug, sadly, where if you do a focus spell on someone that is further than 55 yards away, it will go on your target. So let me show you. Right now, I am 55 yards away from the focus, right? If I do, okay, let me first be up and close, you will see what happens. Slash cast at focus, harpoon, right? This should now not work, right? Because you're too far away from the focus, so nothing should happen. But if you go 55 yards away, for whatever reason, Blizzard has decided that like, oh, now this should just go on your target. You see? This is just because of line of sight. What if I do it like this? You can see easier. Oh wait, I need to be this dummy because it was too close. Okay, look at this. I did focus, harpoon, and it went on my target. So the way to stop this from happening, which is extremely annoying, especially with harpoon and intimidation. I think intimidation is the worst offender whenever it comes to this. You need to write all of your macros like this. I will have a link down below in the description, but yeah, you just need to do it like this, and then you also gotta make sure that your CVARs is set to 0. So just type this once on your character, and then you have everything like this, and then you should be fine. But yeah, really stupid, but fun fact, I guess. Everything else, all of my macros are just kind of self-explanatory, nothing super crazy or anything. I guess if you want to go through and check all of them, I have like a pretty in-depth written thing here, so with explanations behind why things are the way that they are. So yeah, I'm gonna have this written down in the description, so you can go and take a look at that. Let's see, what else do we have? Then we have tips and tricks. This is my favorite section, the tip and trick section. So here, there's a lot to go through. So number one, this is a really big one. Whenever you make a new hunter, you want to always make sure that track hidden is turned on, because this gives you 10 yards of extra stealth detection. So that means that your stealth, instead of 5 yards, which is the default, you know, this 5 yards is everyone's stealth detection, yours will be 15. So it'll be this long. So you can see people from this far away, which, yeah, kind of a big deal. You want to make sure you always have track hidden on. Then, here is a list of all the spells you can press in Turtle. I'm not going to go through them, but you can read and then learn. So yeah, for some reason you can't press Hunter's Mark and Wild Kingdom. I don't know why. There was a time where you could press Hunter's Mark in Turtle, but you can't do that now anymore. So that's really weird. But yeah. And then for number 3, we have a pet taunt in Arena. So here's the thing. You can use pet taunt on people to give them combat, which is really valuable, especially if you are playing with a druid that has Cyclone, right? So let's say that, or even if you're against something like a rogue or like a druid, right? Let's say that I'm against a druid, right? And then you trap the druid. So combat in PvP is 6 seconds long. And do you know how long freezing trap lasts for? 6 seconds. So that means that if you trap a resto druid, they will always drop combat at the end of your freezing trap, meaning that they will be able to get a free re-stealth, which is really annoying. So what you can do is pet taunt them while they are inside of the freezing trap to apply combat to them. Alternatively, you can do a tar trap to apply combat. You can do conch shot that applies combat. But I'd say it's better to do pet taunt because, you know, it's off global. So you can either make a focus taunt macro, or you can just click on them and then press pet taunt. Either or. I think Cyclone is the worst offender, because let's say if you Cyclone a rogue, now clone now lasts for 5 seconds, so it's not as big of a deal. But let's say if you clone a rogue, most likely they will be out of combat at the end of the clone. So pet taunt into a Cyclone to apply combat to them so they can't get a re-stealth is really, really valuable to do. Fun fact, you can also use conch shot into Cyclone, so you can do that too. But yeah, that's something to do with pet taunt. Just keep that in mind. And then we have a Roar of Sacrifice. So I feel like this spell, the way that it works changes pretty much every expansion. But the way that it works right now is Roar of Sacrifice is 40-yard range from the hunter. But it requires the pet to not be CC. And it requires the pet to be within 40 yards of the target, but not line of sight. So let me show you kind of what I mean. If my pet is like behind the pillar, it's right here, you know? Clearly, I'm not in line of sight of my pet, but I can still press Roar of Sacrifice. Because I'm within 40 yards of my pet. Same thing. If my pet is over here, and I want to use Roar of Sacrifice on someone that is standing right here, you can't give this person Roar of Sacrifice because they are within 40 yards of the pet, and they're 40 yards line of sight me. But let's say that I'm gonna give Roar of Sacrifice to someone that is like this guy, you know? In this scenario, I cannot give this person Roar of Sacrifice because they're not within 40 yards of the pet. Okay, I hope that kind of makes sense. Also, if your pet is in any form of CC that is not a disorient, you cannot use Roar of Sacrifice. So stuns, fears, polymorphs, you can't use Ross. For some reason, Ross works in Blind, Dragon's Breath, the Paladin Blind, and Blinding Sleet. But not Scatter. So any disorient that, like, you know how whenever you scatter someone, they like move around a little bit? Or like with Blind, they like somehow walk around a little bit? Or the Paladin Blind or the DK Blind, where like you walk around, same, or Dragon's Breath. Any one of those abilities, you can still use Roar of Sacrifice. Don't ask why, I don't know, it's just the way that it works. Fun fact, Intimidation and the Kill Command also works. So your pet can be in a Dragon's Breath and Intimidation is still pressable. But yeah. Then we have Scatter Shot. The biggest thing that I wanted to talk about is the fact that Explosive Shot and Kill Command, they don't break Scatter. So that means that you can do something like this, where you maybe do Explosive Shot. And then you can do a Scatter Shot. Bam, doesn't break. Kill Command doesn't break either. That's kind of it, I guess. Which is actually really valuable knowledge. It seems like a random XD thing, like who the fuck cares? But let's say, for example, that you're playing 2v2 or 3v3, and you stun the healer, right? Oops. You stun the healer, and then you want to trap him. But then the DPS with an explosive shot comes, and they're like, oh no, because now this is going to break, right? No, it broke the trap. If you notice that someone is coming up to the trap, and they have an explosive shot, instead of using a freezing trap, you can just cut your losses and just do a scatter shot instead, because then it won't break. So if this can come back up again, I can kind of show you what I mean. Hold up. Waiting. Now. So look at this. Really cool interaction. I mean, this cloak enchant is so stupid. Okay, let's imagine that my cloak was being not silly, and yeah. It would have worked, I swear. Let me show you again. Okay, I'm just removing my cloak just to, like, just to show. Okay, so you know what? You know, same thing. You do the freezing trap, and then you expose a shot, and then it's like, oh no, it's gonna break. No, and then bam. I mean, this should have been a pet stun, but you know what I mean, though. It doesn't break, so that's whatever. I'm done rambling. You guys know what I mean. Then here we have a camouflage, how it works with a pet. Camo is a really weird spell. So you can actually go stealth and then summon your pet, and then now your pet is no longer attached to your stealth. Meaning, you can attack with the pet and it won't take you out. Knock Trap won't take you out. Ment Pet won't take you out. Intimidation won't take you out. You know, Binding won't take. Tar Trap won't take you out. Freezing Trap won't take you out. Here's the really crazy thing though. Kill Command does not take you out. Except for when it resets. When it resets, you get taken out. So let me show. Also, fun fact. Neither the Wyvern, the Boar, or the Bear takes you out either. If, whatever, who cares? If you look now. It did not take me out. Didn't take me out. Didn't take me out again. Okay, but I wanna show. Hello? Please. There, took me out because it resetted 20% of the time. That's fun to know when it comes to camouflage. And then I wanted to show a little quick clip just to illustrate a bug with camouflage. One sec. And it's this bug right here. You can, if you time it well, you can be in camouflage and have the eye at the same time. You can be in camo and have the eye at the same time. Which, I mean, you can imagine in Blitz how disgustingly OP this is. That the fact that you can be in stealth with the eye. The timing is a little bit finicky and a little bit weird, but if you get used to it, you can do this pretty like consistently. So, fun fact, loving bug abuse. Let's see, what else do we have to talk about? We have the intimidation thing. Here is, okay, I don't know why, but it doesn't say how long of a range intimidation is, but it's 50 yards from the pet, ignoring your line of sight. So that means, let's go 50 yards away from this little dummy right here. like this. Let's have my pet be there. So look at this. I can be 100 billion yards away, even behind a pillar. Pet's done. So keep that in mind. It's 50 yards from the pet, and it ignores your line of sight. It's only pet line. Nothing else matters other than a pet line. What else do we have? Oh yeah, we have a don't macro / cause wake up. For whatever reason, there's a really old guide out there that, because back in Shadowlands, okay, first of all, if you don't know what Play Dead is, it's a spell you learn from this guy over here. Hello. Ta-da, this one. It's basically pet feign death. So, you see, I have it on Shift H, you press it, your pet then goes to sleep, and you can wake him up. So this wake up spell, it would only be usable when your pet was sleeping. But now, for some reason, wake up is castable while the pet is still alive. So if you macro wake up into all of your abilities, like you could do back in the day, it's just randomly gonna put that spell on cooldown, meaning that whenever you do want your pet to be feign death, you can't wake it up. You have to wait like for however long you need to wait, which is really, really annoying. One thing as well is the fact that the pet feign death ability requires your line of sight to the pet for it to work. So that means that if you see here, right now you can't press pet feign death. You need to be looking, but the wake up effect does not require line of sight. So you can still, you can make your pet wake up from anywhere, but the initial cast requires this. And you might think like, oh, why does this matter? Why would you ever want to pet feign death? Who cares? Number one, I would say arcane mages, because typically what arcane mages will do is they will press arcane surge on your pet just to get the buff up. So here you can do pet feign death. It works the same way as camouflage. I mean, as normal feign death, where it deselects the target, right? So it interrupts the cast that they do on the pet. Maybe someone does like a random fear on your pet, maybe a cyclone if it's a boomy, because boomies a lot, they will cyclone your pet and then root beam the healer, so you can't Master's Call. So then if you ever notice that they're targeting your pet on the target of target, right? If you ever see that they're clicking pet and then cast clone, you can then do a pet feign death so they can't cast clone on your pet. Yeah. Also, I just want to show this clip because it's kind of funny. This doesn't really matter, but I want to show it anyway. So, with the thing with the pet feign death against the arcane surge, here we have a Pilly being the best mage in the entire planet. He knows that I'm going to pet feign death the arcane surge. So what he does is that he, this is actually so crazy. He targets me, presses arcane surge, then targets my pet. So I think that he's casting arcane surge on my pet. So if you look here on my pet feign death, I will then try to pet feign death the arcane surge, but it doesn't work. So like he, instead of me just, because I mean, if he was targeting me, I could have maybe like just line of sighted it, but I just got completely outplayed. I thought it was, I could have maybe scattershotted the cast, whatever, you know. I thought it was just like a funny thing to show that, but like this is kind of what you want to do into mages. That if they cast arcane surge on the pet, you can just use pet feign death to you can just counter the entire thing. So let's see, what else do we have? We have the Master's Call bug. So the Master's Call is really weird. Ever since they changed MM to no longer have a pet, Master's Call is just completely bugged. You cannot give it to other people without looking at them. So you need to write your target macros like this. We do target player top party 2, command pet, targetless target. And if you want to do it on yourself, you need to target yourself and then command pet and then target last enemy. Really exciting. I just wanted to like let you guys know that in case you guys are like, oh my god, my command pet isn't working, I can't press Monster Call, what is the problem? Yeah, you need a macro to make this work because Blizzard is really incompetent. Quite sad. Again, I have all the macros listed in my paste bin, so you can go and read that. And then I wanted to talk about flare interaction with meld. So the biggest thing with this is Camerial. So into really good players, what they will do whenever they are in a Camerial, they will press meld. So you can wait to meld, and then you will immune this silence. So if you do a Camerial and then you flare, because flare, you can't vanish, you can't meld in a flare. So if you're against like a really good player and you think they might meld your Camerial, you can just do Camerial and then flare them, and then ta-da, they can't really do anything. Really cool. Then number 13, just Mongoose Bite with evasion. Let's pretend that this was a rogue with evasion. Not that I have a rogue to test it on, but you have to trust me on this one. It will give you back the 30 focus that it costed. So that means that you can just, you know, if you have nothing else to do into a rogue, spam Mongoose Bite, because then you can stack up the Mongoose Bite duration and also reduce the CD of your Howl of the leader of the Howl of the whatever. Howl of the Pack, yeah. So just keep it in mind into EV. You can spam Mongoose Bite, you will get all of your things back, you will give more stacks, and you will reduce the CD. So instead of not doing anything, you can at least spam Mongoose Bite, so you're at least somewhat useful. Conk Shot can be applied through Ice Block and Bubble, and Cyclone. Don't ask why, it's just, it's kind of cool to do, but yeah, it doesn't, I mean, it doesn't slow them. In Bubble, you can just apply it through. It doesn't work in Turtle though, but it works in Ice Block, Bubble, and Clone. And then same thing here, the Sticky Tar Bomb is really weird. So you can Grounding Totem and Spell Reflect it. So you think it's a magical application, but then it doesn't go through BOP. So it's like a physical and a magical application at the same time. And it also ignores Cloak of Shadows. I don't know how or why, the spell is just really, really weird. The thing that's even weirder is the AoE part of your disarm can go through BOP. So if you want to disarm a Ret Paladin that has BOP, you want to disarm their teammate, and then you wait 4 seconds, and then the other enemies that are hit by the explosion are also affected by Sticky Tar Bomb, that will go through BOP. So it's really weird. But the biggest thing is just don't press it into Warrior Spell Reflect or Grounding Totem, because then you're gonna have a bad time. And then if you're against the Hunter and they're in Turtle, you can actually use the Tar Trap route to route them through Turtle. So that's fun, I guess. And then Harpoon Reset Bug, which is really cool. I wonder if I can illustrate it here. Maybe this is like a bad way to do it. But if you harpoon and then you go quickly line of sight, it will give you back the harpoon. So maybe I can show it here. Yeah, you see how you can do it like this? Now, it's a very niche bug, but especially on Blitz, it can be very beneficial. So if you show here, I did it on this little monk. How you harpoon, go behind the pillar.
Stay fucking mad, little bro. Holy
you can actually do this forever. I mean, he died kind of quickly, but like you can imagine, obviously, if he lived for a long time, I could like permanently root him here, and there isn't really anything that he can do. But you know, that's cool. You can also do it on Blackrook Hold. You know how the if you're standing by the big circular pillar in the middle. Okay, imagine this is like the big circular pillar in the middle of Blackrook Hold. You know, you can just harpoon, go back, harpoon, go back, harpoon, go back. If you want to bug abuse and just, you know, be a really cool guy, that is something that you can do. I think it's kind of fun, but keep it in mind. And that is it for the tips and tricks that I have. What else do we have? What else? We have how to do damage. Okay, so I think maybe most people have skipped over everything else because it's a very long video to go over to the this is like obviously the most important thing. So here we have it, the mother load. Oi, oi, oi. So there's a lot of things to get over here, but so the priority list is kill command if it summons a beast, aka, you know, if you have either the boar, the wyvern, or the bear. Drop combat. And then you have explosive shot, and then you have wildfire bomb, then kill shot, Mongoose Bite, and then kill command will be the last. So as long as you follow this priority list, you will do the most damage that it is possible to deal. And then over here you have your cooldown priority, which is first Coordinate Assault, highest prio, then Fury, and then Flanking. So Flanking is one of those spells where, because the cooldown is a 30-second CD, and your Coordinate Assault is a 1-minute CD, you will typically do one Coordinated, you will do one Flanking Strike that is being buffed by Coordinated Assault, and then your other flanking will not be buffed by Coordinated Assault. So, but keep in mind that like once you have pressed Coordinated Assault, you are kind of forced to do Fury and Flanking, because you kind of want to save both of these spells for your big Coordinated Assault. And then we have the one big spell. It's the Tip of the Spear. So Tip of the Spear is essentially the bread and butter of survival, and this is the thing that will differentiate a good and a bad survival hunter. Because Tip of the Spear is such an important mechanic this season, especially this season, and especially if you're playing Pack Leader. Because of Better Together, how this is gonna increase the damage by an additional 15%, essentially doubling the importance. So instead of Tip of the Spear being like, you know, a 20% damage increase, like who cares, it's like 20%, it's 35. That is a big deal. And also this patch, they have buffed the initial damage on Wildfire Bomb by 50%. And they have buffed the damage on Wildfire Bomb and Explosive Shot by an additional 5%, because this was 5 before, but now it's 10. So all of your spells, they will do so much more damage if you buff them with Tip of the Spear. It is ridiculous. So the two spells that you have to buff, you cannot press Flanking Strikes or Fury of the Eagle or the AoE Explosive Shot. Let me show you kind of what that is. It's with Bombardier. So at the end of your Coordinated Assault, your Explosive Shots becomes AoE. Now the reason why you can't not do it is because one Tip of the Spear will affect all of the Explosive Shots. So you're essentially... it's like 100% less damage, if you think about it that way, right? So let me show you. How this thing, you know, you do a kill command, and then now this will be on these 3 people. Bam! So all of these are getting buffed by 35%. So you can kind of see how that is like a really big deal, right? Like how you don't want to like mess that up. So let me just hide my shot just in case. So it is... these spells, you have to buff them with Tip of the Spear. And then second highest prio is Explosive Shot, because it does a lot of damage. So it does 1 million damage. It's gonna do more, but like on the tooltip, it's just 1 million. So you can imagine buffing this with Tip of the Spear, you're just adding 350k damage on top of it. Then Kill Shot, how it does 1.2 million. But this is 1.2 million plus the dot damage. So it actually does 30% more than this. So then if you buff Kill Shot with Tip of the Spear, not only will it do 35%, but then the bleed will be even more, because then it's also being buffed by, you know what I mean? So it's really good to buff Kill Shot. Try to always do it if you can. Then Wildfire Bomb is the 4th highest, and then Mongoose Bite is the 5th highest. So the one thing about Tip of the Spear, I think people have asked me, like, should you buff every single spell? The thing is that eventually you will run out of spells to press. You cannot buff every single spell, unfortunately. The one thing though is that when you're at a distance, because all of your range spells, they have cooldowns, right? So it is way more important to try and buff all of your range spells, because what can happen if you don't do it, let me just show you. You can do Explosive Shot, you can Bomb, Explosive, Bomb, and then now you don't have Kill Shot because he's just low HP, right? Now I have nothing to do now, you know? Like, I can't do anything. So now you're just sitting at 3 stacks forever. And you're not really doing anything. You see how there's nothing really happening? So you can see how, since there's so much downtime and you have so many leftover kill commands, if you know that you won't be melee range in a while, it's always better to buff all of your spells by Tip of the Spear, if you can. Because otherwise, you're just losing out on... your potential damage will be really low. But when you are in melee range, you don't have to buff every single spell. And the reason why is because doing something like Mongoose Bite and then a Wildfire Bomb is more damage than doing a kill command into Wildfire Bomb. Because again, the damage on kill command isn't really that high. So... and also, but the thing is, you're gonna press kill command anyway, because, you know, you're gonna run out of focus otherwise. So I would say in melee range, try to over-prioritize flanking, Fury of the Eagle, Explosive Shot, and Kill Command. And Kill Shot if you can. So let's say in this scenario, let's say I'm doing damage like this. Instead of me just pressing Explosive Shot now, you might just do Kill Command and then Explosive. Or same here, if you want to do the bomb, you can do one bomb, but it's also fine to do Kill Command bomb, right? Because if you don't weave in Kill Command ever, you're gonna run out of focus really fast. So naturally you will want to weave in all of your spells, but it isn't like a life or death situation, Like, it is so important to buff, especially Fury of the Eagle and Flanking Strikes, that I even made a weak aura that will glow up these two spells whenever you have a tip of the spear, just to like super make sure. So if you look here, how Flanking is glowing up, and then over here, how Fury of the Eagle is glowing up, right? So just to kind of like prove the point that you have to buff them with tip of the spear. Let me go back to the little notepad. So yeah, as long as you study everything here, you follow the damage rotation, your damage will be really good. And then I already talked about this, but I do want to talk about the Stampede. So I haven't actually talked about the tier set, but the only thing that it does is whenever you have lead from the front, which is your 12-second buff you get after pressing Coordinated Assault, summoning a beast while having this will cause a Stampede. Now, the Stampede will work the same way as the Boar, how it will just randomly charge the target. But the one thing to keep in mind is the fact that you can actually double dip on your tier set. So what you actually want to do in the opener is that you want to make sure that you get your hull of the pack a little bit low, and then you want to do a couple globals, and then now you want to press Coordinated Assault, and then you want to do a Kill Command, because now you see how you're summoning a bunch of farm animals, right? You will then get this back, and you can summon an additional farm animal. So as long as you have this buff up that leads from the front, you will summon a bunch of a beast that will do a lot of damage. So one thing also, if you have, let's say, 2 beasts up at the same time, meaning that if you do, also I didn't mention, I maybe should have mentioned, whenever you cast Coordinated Assault, you will also get a beast. So that's how you can like double up on the pets. So I can kind of show you whenever I get the Coordinated Assault. So here, right, you see how I have a boar available on my next kill command? If I then press Coordinated Assault, I will then get the boar and the bear. If you do a kill command now, you're only summoning 1 stampede. This is not 2 stampedes. So this stampede that happened from my 4 set will be the same damage as if you only did, as if you only had one beast to summon. But the really good thing is that you don't have to wait for the 7 seconds in order to press the stampede again, because the stampede lasts for 7 seconds, but you can do them back to back to get 14 seconds of the stampede, meaning, let me show you again, meaning that you can do your rotation like this, where you can press Coordinated Assault, you summon a pet, and then you summon a pet again. Since you staggered them, you will now get the stampede for 14 seconds. Can you see? That's pretty good. So now you got like a long time of this happening, which is definitely way better than just doing it normally. So it's good that you don't need to wait out for your stampede to be over because you're not gonna lose damage out that way. If that makes any sense. If that's confusing, I don't know. Maybe I'm just really bad at explaining. I think that's kind of it though with the damage department. I don't think there's much to kind of go over. You just kind of follow this, and then you should be completely fine. Then I want to talk about the opener. So, oops, it's a lot of typing, but it's not that hard. Okay. So here's the dealio, right? And let me move this. Maybe let's put it there. That seems chill. So, and then also let me do this so you guys can see it a little bit easier. If I go to my details, I go here and then go into plugin here, change this to that. There you go. So you can see all of my spells way easier. Okay, and then I'll do a little reload. This is a really high-end guide, I know. I'm sorry. Hello? We're so back. Opener. Here we go. Okay. So you want to summon your pet. Actually, you don't want to summon your pet. You want to be in camouflage. And then you want to summon your pet. And then you want to press Hunter's Mark. Then, what you want to do is you want to do as many kill commands as you can without getting taken out. So, maximum of 3. So you could just do like a couple for fun here and there, you know. Then after you've done like a couple, you see now how you have Tip of the Spear. You can now do Explosive Shot. And then you can bomb. And then you can bomb. And then you also want to stun the healer at this point, typically. So let's pretend that this guy will be the healer. So after you've done this, you can then stun the healer. And then if you have one more damage global, you can. Otherwise, you can just do the Freezing Trap if you're not melee range of the healer. After that, you want to do Coordinated Assault. 1 Wildfire Bomb. You then want to press Kill Command to summon your Stampede and also to get your Wyvern. Then you want to do a Fury of the Eagle into a Flanking Strikes. And then after this, you just want to follow the normal damage rotation, which will then be Explosive Shot, and then you bomb, and then you bomb. And then now you can maybe do like a little Kill Command, you can then maybe do like a Mongoose Bite. Same thing here now, you have the AoE Explosive Shot, so then you want to do a Kill Command, and then you want to Explosive Shot, and then, you know, you can go back to summoning your beast because it's the highest prio. Then bomb, highest prio, Explosive Shot, highest prio, get a Tip of the Spear, get a Wildfire Bomb, and then, you know, you want to go back to Mongoose Biting, essentially. Also here, I didn't press Kill Command through the entire time, but that's because the dummy is kind of low HP, so that's why it's glowing. Let me show you it while doing, like, with the 1 global in between. So that would look more something like this, if we can imagine this is the healer. Because while you're doing all of your globals, you kind of want to walk into melee range. So it would be something like this, where you go stealth, you summon the pet, you then do a Hunter's Mark, then you want to do a couple of kill commands. Then once you've done enough, maybe like a couple just for fun, then you can do Explosive Shot, bomb, bomb, stun the healer, maybe even a ranged Mongoose Bite if you have, and then it can be Freezing Trap again, and then, you know, you do the same thing. And then Fury of the Eagle, the big, and then the flanking, and then you can bomb again, and now you have a pet to summon the pet, and an Explosive Shot, because you have an Explosive Shot, and then you do this, and then now you're fine. Just follow the list. I'm really bad at reading and also doing the same thing at the same time. But you kind of get what I mean. That's sort of how you want to do the damage. The one thing, though, to keep in mind is the fact that you won't do this all the time. Because Survival is one of those classes where the way that you do your damage is really based on what you are against. Because if you want to burst someone down in 3 globals or 5 globals, that would be way different. So let's imagine that you are against a demon hunter, or maybe like a rogue. They will just press blur, they will press evasion. After they've done that, they are immune to damage. In these moments, you will want to burst way faster. So I can show you what I mean actually by bursting way faster. So let's imagine this game where I am against a demon hunter. Let me just have it muted. It's muted. So in this scenario, I have the Wyvern. And I have all of my buffs. So that means that whenever I press Coordinated Assault, it will be a Wyvern and a boar, right? But in this scenario, I noticed that the DH has blur, so I have to be really fast with my globals, meaning I don't have time to do all of the wildfire bombs and stuff. So what I do here is that I will do a kill command after my Coordinated Assault into a flanking, and then that will kill him from this range. So you just do the Coordinated Assault, the kill command to summon your Wyvern to give you the damage increase, the boar, which will do the instant damage, and the stampede, which will also do instant damage, and then a big flanking strikes to kill him. And throughout this entire thing, you can see that my Boomy was in a clone. So he just died in 12 million to just bomb coordinated kill command flanking, right? So there is, of course, some sort of lenience to it. You don't always have to do the exact same globals all the time, every single time. Like, I can't go over like, oh, if a player is 20% health, then you want to do a coordinated flank, right? Because that would just kill them. Or, for an example, what I did in the Snoopy tournament, the Snoopy one-shot video, what I did is I just got my Wyvern, which you can realistically do in an arena. You can just stack up the Wyvern, and then after you've gotten the Wyvern, you can do Explosive Shot into coordinated flank. And then this can just kill someone if you get crits. So if you see here,
Damage.
coordinated,
There we go.
flank. He's dead. So there's so many ways to do damage, and they will all just depend on the circumstances and the situation and like what you have, what you don't have, blah blah blah. So it is kind of hard for me to go over every single variance. You know, like sometimes it's good to do coordinated fury flank. Sometimes you have to do coordinated kill command fury flank. Sometimes you have to do explosive coordinated fury flank. Sometimes explosive coordinated flank, right? There's so many things to go over. So you just have to kind of learn that. I can't teach you like the like percentage HP of when to do each individual thing. Another example would be that I have this one. There we go. So here, right, I'm against a warlock, and what I do is I do a wildfire bomb, and then I do a coordinated assault. Same thing, but the difference here is that into the DH clip, I did bomb coordinated kill command flanking. But here, because the warlock is way higher HP, I need to do the Fury of the Eagle in order to kill him, because otherwise, I mean, he's not gonna die to the flanking strike, right? So here I will do this kill command into the Fury of the Eagle, flanking strikes. And the reason why you do the Fury of the Eagle first is because you wanna think of the flank strikes as like an execute. Because if I did coordinated kill command to summon the Wyvern and the Boar into the flanking strike and then Fury, he would have never ever died in this scenario, right? Because the Paladin wasn't even in CC, he was just basically casting a repentance on my healer, right? So if you do the Fury of the Eagle first, you're letting the damage go out while everything is happening, and then you do the flanking strikes, right? Compared to if you do the flanking first and then Fury of the Eagle, it's like they have way more time to react. And then I wanted to show one extra clip when I one-shot Raikou. It's kind of the exact same thing, where you just want to get all of your buffs. You see how I have the Boar and the Wyvern? And then, you know, same thing. You just do a kill command to summon everything, and then you want to do a Fury of the Eagle, flank. And again, the main reason why flanking strikes is doing so much damage is because of lead from the front, the fact that it buffs the pet damage by 30%. So if you track this buff, it's like way easier to know when you're like allowed sort of to press flanking strikes. So try to always do the flanking strikes for the first 12 seconds of your coordinated assault, because it's gonna do way more damage. And then I wanted to show like a really funny clip over here when I kill a rogue in the most disgusting way possible. So here I have every single modifier in the entire game. Legit everything. So what I did here, I have summoned a Boar. So I did coordinated into kill command, which then summons the Boar. The way that the Boar works is that every 3 seconds, it is every 3, right? Yeah, every 3 seconds it will charge the target. So what I did is coordinated, summon the Boar, then did an explosive shot into a Fury of the Eagle flank. So on the flanking strikes, if you will see here, the Boar will happen at the same time as the explosive shot will happen, which is the same time that the flanking will happen. So this will legit be 15 million damage happening all at once. Look at yourself. 3, 2, 1. Yeah. And also, while doing everything here, you know, same thing, you need to have the lead from the front, which is a 30% pet damage increase, and the Wyvern, which is a 19% in this case damage increase. So the biggest thing that I would recommend whenever it comes to knowing how to do damage on survival is to know how all of your spells interact with each other. You know, you can maybe, I mean, like a really easy combo would be, you know, explosive into coordinated assault, Fury of the Eagle, flank. You know, like it's a lot of damage will happen at the same time. Sometimes this combo is good. Sometimes you might need to kill someone in 5 globals. Then you would maybe do like the explosive shot later if you want the damage to happen all at once. Then you can maybe do a wildfire bomb into coordinated assault, into explosive shot, kill command, Fury flank, right? That could be a way to do it. So everything is just about like how greedy can you be, and how would you want to burst someone in 3 globals, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, because they're all very different. Like for example, if I'm against a demon hunter that's in a smoke bomb, in a full stun, I wouldn't even bother to press like wildfire bomb because it would be too like little damage. Then you might just have to do the coordinated assault into fury flank, or if you have the boar, it's better to do coordinated assault into kill command flank. If you have like a boar and a wyvern, then that's more valuable than the fury of the eagle, right? So there's so many things to like go over. Or maybe you can do the coordinated assault into kill command fury flanking. That's like typically like the burst in 4 like buttons. But you kind of see how I'm like rambling now, but that's because it's like it's hard to go over everything in every scenario, right? But if I'm against a warlock, now typically warlocks you have to go through all of their defensive cities, because they will play dark pact really high HP. So in the warlocks you need to be way more, you can be way more greedy with all of your spells. You can then start out with a couple kill commands, then you can do a exploder shot, you can bomb, you can coordinated bomb, kill command to summon everything, you can bomb even again, then you can do a fury of the eagle, and then you can flank, then you can do exploder shot, kill command again to summon the other boar, and then keep on mongoose biting, you see? So this damage rotation would be more similar to something that I would do into like a ret, into a warrior, into a warlock, into maybe even like a mage, things like that. But I would never do this into like a rogue, right? Because a rogue, you would want to do shorter damage rotation globals, Maybe then you would want to do like a coordinated fury flank or coordinated kill command fury flank to just get their evasion and then swap target. Same thing with DH. Into DH, I would also do the same. Maybe like explosive coordinated kill command fury flank to just get blur out of the way as soon as I can. So your damage globals will I mean, the target that you are against will dictate your damage globals. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. That's kinda it that I want to talk about with the damage. I think there's nothing really that I want to miss. There's no clip that I haven't showed. Nah, yeah, that's correct. I believe that might be it. I haven't talked about the tier set for Sentinel because I don't think it's particularly good, nor does it really matter too much, but it's just more damage increase whenever you press bomb at the end of coordinated. It's like, who cares? Yeah, I believe everything important has been talked about. So if there is anything that I have missed, which I'm sure there is, you can make sure to let me know in the comments if you have any questions. That's kinda it, I believe. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hope you had fun. Hope you learned something. And I guess I will see you guys at another time. I might do, not might, I am looking to do VOD reviews. Not VOD reviews, gameplay commentary of me playing 2s or 3s or shuffle or blitz. So if that is anything that you guys are interested in, let me know, because I can do them for fun. So if you care about 2v2, if you care about 3v3, blitz, do you want to see shuffle? Like, is there anything specific do you want to see? Like, do you want me to go over, like, for example, this full game, maybe, to talk about this game? Or maybe, whenever I played with a boomy dragon, should I go over, like, everything here? Like, would that be something that you guys want to watch, Just let me know, and then I can talk about it. So I can go over, like, why I'm doing the things that I do, when I do them, how I do them, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, that's gonna be it for me today. So I don't make this video into like a 3-hour video, because that would be a little bit stinky. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hope you had fun. Take care. Peace out. Ciao, ciao. Adios. And bye-bye.